Good morning, it's Laura from Pearls of Wisdom, and this morning I'm going to talk a little bit about being chosen last. So, my experience from kind of like the start of my life was that I was often chosen for any kind of partner work or teamwork, in particular with physical things. I think this is like a general thing, but there was, I think, more often an opportunity because our gym classes were often structured where you would have two team captains and then they would choose who they wanted on their team. And then I was generally the last person standing. And I really think this is cruel. I just can't imagine why they did things that way. I don't think they should be done that way. Like, maybe if you're playing competitive sports and you really want to set a fire under the kids to improve athletically, you could do things this way. But like gym class, it's not all kids are athletic, and they're, try as they might, they're just not going to have that talent. And why set them up to feel like they suck all the time? It's awful. Honestly, there's any teachers out there, if you're autistic, I doubt that you do this, but my God, just choose the teams. Don't do this. I choose you. Let the kids choose each other. It's just I feel like an awful thing. Now, there was like one time in my life, I actually remember not being chosen last, and it was such an outlier that it's like one of my clearest memories from childhood. I was in gym class. It was middle school. We were learning to do dance, some kind of dance routine. And there was a young girl who was chosen team captain. She was the captain of the kickline team, cheerleader, very popular, really good dancer. She chose immediately kind of like her second in command, similar also in kickline, good dancer, very popular, okay? So that was one team. I don't even remember who the other team captain was. But now these two girls were like really outside of my social strata. They, were like just well loved, well accepted, and I was just more of I felt like a social outcast. However, they happened to both play violin and were in the orchestra. And the orchestra, very merit-based institution. I was first chair of the orchestra, which meant that I was the best violinist in the group. And I had, I guess, some social clout because of that. And the one girl was my stand partner. And I was definitely a lot better than her, So I guess somehow it was like, even though they were like the popular girls and I wasn't, I guess they had some respect for me because in the orchestra world, I was on top, And I'm not a status-driven person. It honestly didn't even like being first chair, but it didn't like it at all, actually. But that is where things shook out. And so they chose me to be on their dance team. I was the first one that they chose, besides each other. And it was like a eureka, beautiful day. I'll never forget it. And then we did this dance routine, But I actually wound up doing quite well at the dance routine, which was like a bloody miracle. All right, now you don't usually have these situations as an adult, at least I don't, where it's like someone is choosing you for their team or not choosing you for the team. I mean, I guess it happens somehow um at at work, because it's like, are they gonna hire you or not hire you? Are you gonna be fired or not fired? Like, that has something to do with it. Being employed is kind of like that. But these kind of like small, obvious moments of organizing people hierarchical don't happen that often, I think, in adult life. However, I do jujitsu, and jujitsu is a place where these things happen. You often are told to partner up, and so there, be a class of people, and they immediately try to find a partner that they want. And I'm almost always the last person chosen. And it happened to me last night. I was in class, and there was a whole bunch of women, which is rare because it's very male dominated. And the teacher had given us instructions to partner up with an experienced person versus more of a newbie, in particular around the skill that we were learning. Some people were familiar with it, some people weren't. I was a newbie, and it was obvious I was a newbie, okay? So I was sitting in a group of 4 women, and it was clear. People know where they stack. There was 2 newbies, and there was 2 experienced people. Now, I was sitting quite close to one woman, and she also happened to be in my weight class, which is an important thing in jiu-jitsu. Weight matters. She's bigger than me, but she's fairly close to my size. And the other 2 women were closer in size as well. Then the woman who was sitting close to me, who it was like kind of obvious I should partner with because I was newbie, she was experienced, we were about the same size, started to ask me questions like, well, how tall are you? Do you know this? Blah, blah, blah. Like, she was really starting to equivocate. And, I was like, I'm 5'4". I was like, what does that matter? I think the woman is probably 5'2". It's like 2 inches. Height is, I just don't think, as significant in jiu-jitsu. I mean, I guess it matters somewhat, but it wasn't like either of us were towering over the other one. So I did a very autistic thing, and I just said it out loud. I said, you just don't want to partner with me. Because I find it very annoying when there's like this kind of like, they call it subterfuge. She was equivocating and kind of like trying to come up with like some excuse as to, at least this is what it seemed to me. Because if she wanted to partner, I think we would have just partnered. But she was like, verbalizing, these things that were not pertinent and delaying partnering up. So it appeared she did not want to partner. So I said it. I know it's an awkward thing. I say awkward things all the time. But I also kind of felt pretty solid. I still feel pretty solid in the fact I said it, because it was bullshit. And then she was like, no, that's not true. And she said all these things about like why it wasn't true. And I was like, what? Okay. I mean, I could be wrong. That's what it seemed like to me, though. And then the other woman just looked at me and I looked at her and she was like, "Do you want a partner?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she wound up being a wonderful, lovely partner. Okay. So yeah, so this experience of like being last chosen, does it have to do with being autistic? I think maybe because there's some social element to, these social hierarchies, and I think I'm not catching on to them. And if I was, I would probably be a better partner in some ways. Do I get hurt? I do. I do get freaking hurt. But I think knowing that I'm autistic does help with the self knowledge and maybe not take things too personally. Just to kind of like understand that, like, okay, well, this is probably more likely to happen to an autistic person. It doesn't necessarily speak to my individual flaws as a human being. I did want to add something else. There happens to be another autistic woman who is a part of our gym, and this woman is, I would say, has higher support needs than I do. And in terms of the amount of attention she gets from teachers, she gets like zero attention, and also not readily chosen as a partner. So yeah, she, I think, doesn't get chosen because of her autism. I personally like her and try to partner with her when I can. But I do think these are like some of the weird microaggression, discrimination things that we face in everyday life. Unfortunately, people aren't aware of it. It's just kind of like this unconscious bias. But it does suck. I think I think to kind of like help you out if you're experiencing this is like, just know you're not alone. Just know that it's not personal. Um it's based on a level of ignorance, and you're still amazing. All right. Well, thanks for listening. Take care. Bye bye.